neighborhood, and there are a lot of reasons for the hopelessness. I guess when we go out there, if you want to be a part of that, I can talk in more detail about the reasons for the hopelessness, but just to make a real quick summary, there's neglect of the neighborhood, a lot of substandard housing, as you can imagine, poor schools, joblessness. If there are jobs, there's a lack of benefits, lack of ability to work full-time, completely broken family structure, racism, which I would love to talk in more detail about, especially from my perspective, being a part of a mostly white church. And there's a lack of a safety net for the families that we serve. There's also the problem of When Helping Hurts. I hope you're familiar with the book by the Chalmers guys. I can't remember their names offhand, Fickert and Corbett. Yeah. In that book they teach the definition of poverty, which is not a lack of money, as you might, or a lack of material stuff, but it's a lack of good relationships, functioning, God-breathed relationships. And that is kind of the theme that we've been hearing that all during this weekend, and that's the thing that we wrestle with the most, is how do we go into a neighborhood like that and help restore relationships. And when sin first came in the Garden of Eden, all the relationships, the relationship we have with God, with other people, with ourselves, and with the rest of creation, those relationships were ruined. And when Jesus came to show us how to live, he gave us the ministry of reconciliation. He explained who our neighbor is. He exhorted us to be the salt of the earth, city on the hill. We've been hearing those things the last 2 days. He asked us to be cheerful, sacrificial givers. He asked us to put ourselves last. And all of the reasons that Pastor Duncan gave yesterday for why we care, why we do mercy ministry, all of those things apply 10 blocks from here. We moved into the neighborhood hoping to earn the trust of our neighbors so that it would be much easier for us to share our faith. The way I understood the Great Commandment, it was God wanted us to show our love for Him by the way that we loved our neighbors. And so what we were doing was buying houses in the neighborhood that were about to fall down. We still buy these houses, and we buy them with the help of volunteers. And we don't just make those houses good enough, suitable, livable. We try to go way past that to the standard that my wife would have for a house that she would live in. That's my standard, my wife's standard. And just as an example, we provide dishwashers when we might have said, nah, they can wash the dishes in the sink. We provide every house with a washer and dryer when we might have been able to go to a laundromat. And I guess it struck me when Jim Cofield was talking yesterday about how we've been, as a culture, we've been on a defensive as Christians, and this kind of love, unexpected, maybe a little bit radical love, is our best offensive strategy when we deliver it home, and that was our intention. The houses are rented to the families after they complete a discipleship, life skills, educational program. It used to take about 12 months, and it keeps longer every time we do it. I think right now we're in the middle of an 18-month class. But we use a small army of mentors to walk alongside each of the families that we're serving. And the reason for that is because we came to understand very quickly that my little staff, myself and 3 people, are not capable of maintaining healthy relationships with all of the families in the neighborhood that we're trying to serve. And the mentors who walk alongside them can maintain their one or two relationships without as much difficulty. And the other thing that's really exciting about what we do is that the mentors discover along the way that in their own brokenness, that relationship that they're in is real, it's authentic, it's life-giving. And one of the things that it always reminds me of is the fact that I attend a very white church, and I always hear people talk about how do we find diversity? How do we achieve racial diversity within our congregation? And I've heard people say, well, we got to hire some black staff members, or we've got to mix up our music program and do some things that are not 15th century European music. But I really feel like the only way that could ever happen is for us to somehow engage in relationships with people that are not like us and discover the joy in that, discover the beauty, and want those people to be a part of our fellowship and invite them and just make it happen that way. Okay, I'll get off my soapbox now on that one. We invite you, and this is my shameless plug, to come out and help us in our neighborhood in any form that you can do it. The one I like best is when you call Sherry and you get on the Mission of North America website and you learn about how we offer a week-long experience in our neighborhood. We provide housing in the neighborhood. My construction manager takes care of all the coordination, the materials and the tools, and we help you conduct devotionals on a daily basis and things like that to enrich your experience. We encourage you to take a half a day off and go visit the civil rights museums in this town, or to go see a AA baseball game. Just have a little bit of fun while you're here. Helping us with a renovation project, though, is very beneficial, especially in this context, because you learn some skills on how to establish even very temporary relationships with people that you're helping. We'll bring the future resident of the house that you're working on, and you'll get to meet them. The other thing that really helps out in this context is that you'll be able to kind of walk alongside my construction manager and help him plan for the resources during the week, divide your group up into smaller teams, tackling sub-projects, thinking through, helping coordinate and mitigate little problems that pop up, which they always do, and experiencing, that cool result of the rest of your team members getting to know each other better and understanding how to work together. You can take that stuff back and maybe apply that in your own town, or just be ready for the next disaster if you have a team. Another thing that Jim was saying this morning that really struck me was that doing this work helps you understand what it means to rebuild the breach in the wall and really do the things that God would want us to do, especially in the area of relationships. So that's my pitch. Yes, sir.
What are some of the things that they would do while they're creating? How much does it cost?
Two good questions. Thank you, Kurt. Some of the things that you would be doing are framing. You might be involved in some demolition, tearing out all of the existing wall boards and ceilings, a lot of the floors, our typical, well, every time we do a house, that's what we do, is we take it down to the bare studs and start completely over with new wiring, new plumbing, new electrical. That's wiring. New HVAC systems. And all of those people are licensed contractors. We would never ask a volunteer to do that work, but hanging sheetrock, putting in insulation, putting down floors, painting. Yeah, definitely painting, landscaping, trim, and all the things I just mentioned are, they're not necessarily unskilled, but they're the kind of job anybody could learn in about 1 hour. And my construction manager would walk alongside you, demonstrate some things, maybe pick a few people out of your group that have some skills and send a few people with them. It's not, once you get going, it's not nearly as intimidating as you might think, and everybody can find something productive to do, even if they're there for a week. We have typically 2 or 3 houses that we're renovating at any one time in the neighborhood, and it's possible that we would also have a non-residential project like our future office building under construction, or a thrift store project, things like that. The cost of coming is variable depending on how you want to do it. If you want to stay right in the neighborhood, we have a house that holds 40 people, and it's very basic, not a lot of amenities, just a place to sleep. It's comfortable, safe, and I think we charge $40 a night for people who use that, and part of that $40 goes toward our materials and other things that we use during the week. Other people have come and spent a week with us and found their own hotel and used the hotel amenities for food and devotionals and things like that. We're completely flexible. We don't care which way you go on that. Any other questions? Yes, sir. We're pretty flexible on the age. What we do require is that if a child comes, that they would be in the care of their parents the whole time. It's a much bigger concern of mine that people would come on the job site with flip-flops than not being the right age. So we do stress proper shoes, and we provide all the hard hats and dust masks and things like that. Yes, sir.
How long has this been going on, and how many homes give us the
I've been at this now for about 6 years, and I think our 20 house is under construction right now. And we have had a few periods where just flat ran out of money, and we had to wait for a little while before we can pick back up. But it's starting to smooth out a little bit now. And we've also gotten a lot more help from the city and from the owners of houses who understand what we do, and they've donated houses and kind of kept houses in the pipeline for us. The city has offered foreclosed homes that somehow they knew about in a relationship that they had with the banks, and they've also obtained houses that were in tax delinquency from the state and got them back within their control and then flipped them to us for $100. So those things are happening now. Any other questions? All right. I hope that you can join us out there. We're going to use a bus to pick up anybody that wants to take the bus right here in front of the covered porch or whatever, and we'll go in that direction. If you want to follow the bus, you can. There's
We have maps.
maps to show you where the bus is going to go.
And how long is the tour?
I can see us getting it over with in about 20 minutes. If anybody's interested in seeing more, I'd be happy to stay with them longer.
It's a phenomenal ministry. My church, we've come probably 6 or 7 times, and it really is a great project to bring folks of all ages. We're finding we serve a need, and then it's transforming our folks as well. So I really appreciate what these guys do. So ready to go? If you guys are interested, we'll take the tour.
All right, let's do it.
And we're already done, right? Sherry, do we have to say goodbye? This is it. Goodbye. Good night, farewell, auf Wiedersehen to you, and you, and you.